Welcome to our first hour of Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We're in Wisconsin for the bad boyfriend murder trial for defendant Matthew Pahl. The defense case resumes this hour. We'll find out if the defendant will be taking the stand. So Pahl is accused of murdering his on-again, off-again girlfriend of 20 years, Stephanie Pavlons. Court's expected to start up at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. While we wait, we're playing some unaired footage for you. First, though, here's the background on the case. Court TV's Michael Ayala reports.
September 9th, 2022. A construction crew in Waukesha, Wisconsin finds the body of an unidentified female in a wooded area where they had been working. Days later, the woman was identified as 44-year-old Stephanie Pavlons.
To see this happen to her just breaks my heart.
Pavlons lived with her on-again, off-again boyfriend of 20 years, Matthew Pahl. According to court documents, police pulled the security video from their apartment complex, which showed Stephanie and Matthew leaving around 8:40 a.m. on August 23rd. She was wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, the same clothes she was wearing when her body was discovered. Matthew Pahl returned home alone about 3 hours later, and investigators found no evidence that she was ever seen or heard from again. Her mother spoke with local station WISN.
They couldn't come to a conclusion on how she had died, that it was undetermined. It was the cause of death.
Matthew Pahl faces charges of first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse, despite the fact that the medical examiner was unable to determine a cause of death for Stephanie Pavlons. Pahl has pleaded not guilty, but if he's convicted, he could be sentenced to life in prison.
Michael Ayala reporting there. Now let's show you some unaired footage. We've got defense witness Dr. Stacey Hail, a medical toxicologist.
Was she prescribed bupropion?
Yes.
Spelled B-U-P-R-O-P-I-O-N. Have you ever prescribed that?
Again, this is a psychiatric medication, and same thing, we try not to prescribe psychiatric medications for emergency patients because we would want that to be in conjunction with our psychiatric colleagues.
Again, you are a medical toxicologist, true?
True.
And your expertise is in prescription drugs or illegal drugs?
Yes.
And your expertise in this field, how long have you done it?
Since 2004.
Is it dangerous for a patient to mix these drugs?
It can be, yes.
Is it dangerous for a patient who's prescribed any of these drugs to stop taking them?
It depends on which one. Alprazolam is, again, a medication that if you stop it, you can develop a withdrawal syndrome. So part of that withdrawal syndrome that is dangerous is seizure activity. Alcohol withdrawal, benzodiazepine withdrawal is a life-threatening condition, whereas opioid withdrawal, albeit extremely uncomfortable, is not a life-threatening condition. Opioid toxicity is, but not opioid withdrawal.
Now, you talked about the documents you received from the medical examiner. Does that include the NMS report?
Yes.
Prior to this court case, have you ever seen an NMS report?
Oh, almost every day.
I'm showing you it's marked as State Defense Exhibit number 442, and just for the witness, please. Is it? Oh. Let me take. I made a mistake. Exhibit number 443, doctor. Tell me when it's on your screen.
This is NMS Labs. NMS stands for National Medical Services, and it is the go-to forensic toxicology laboratory in the entire country. It's located in Pennsylvania, and many medical examiners, even from California to New York to Texas, send their samples to NMS labs, as well as sometimes other types of samples as well. And they are the ones that will do the forensic toxicology testing.
Now I'm going to scroll. Does this appear to be the NMS report from Ms. Pavlons?
Yes.
Do you recognize this as being the report from Ms. Pavlons?
Yes.
It's an 8-page report? 8 pages?
Yes.
Judge, I'd ask to admit this exhibit and publish to the jury.
Any objection?
No, Judge, we had previously stipulated to this exhibit.
Okay, go ahead. It's admitted.
What the jury's seeing now is the initials for NMS 2. Is that right, Doctor? The initials for the NMS lab is at the top page of this exhibit, true?
True.
Ms. Pavlon's name is on there, true?
True.
And as far as you know, this is the report that was generated by the medical examiner.
And this report is generated by NMS labs and then forwarded to the medical examiner.
What does the labs receive from the medical examiner in order to generate this report?
Well,
Objection, lack of foundation.
I'll sustain that objection, yes, for that question.
Have you ever submitted the samples to the NMS, to the lab in Pennsylvania?
no, I have not.
I'm showing you as marked as, again, page 1. What is the jury seeing right in front of them?
So these are the final results of the toxicology testing that was performed on Stephanie Pavlons. So in other words, they may test for a whole menu. It's actually when you submit samples to NMS labs, there are different menus that you can choose as far as what to have tested. And in general, they're pretty broad testing of a number of different substances, and they'll test for all of those different substances. And whatever ends up being positive will get reported inside this black box.
Is there anything significant about what you see on these results from Ms. Pavlons?
Well, typically, when the medical examiner sends samples to NMS labs, it's usually blood or urine. It's not as common to submit liver or muscle tissue, but what has been described is the advanced state of decomposition in this case, where there was not any blood or urine, or oftentimes vitreous, which is the eyeball jelly that can be tested for. Because of the state of decomposition in this case, vitreous was not available, but you can still confirm the presence of substances in other types of tissue, in this case, liver and muscle.
Now, you indicated that Ms. Pavlons was prescribed alprazolam?
Yes.
Based upon your review of her medical records, was it something that she was supposed to take every day?
Yes.
The findings in this exhibit do not have alprazolam listed. Did you note that?
Correct. There's no alprazolam or metabolites of alprazolam. A metabolite is what your body changes one substance into another. All drugs get metabolized, so to speak. And so alprazolam has metabolites that are not present here, nor is alprazolam, the parent molecule, present either.
Would you?
We're going to hit a break here. When we come back, more unaired footage for you from the bad boyfriend murder trial.
Here you are, responsible for the lifelong torment of an entire family. Is that evil in your mind now? So now you've taken her mother's life, and you heroically step in to console her.
I knew it was wrong, but yeah, I still did it.
Did you murder her mother to try and drive her back into your arms? Oh my God.
Interview with a Killer. New episode Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
We are in Wisconsin this morning bringing you the bad boyfriend murder trial. Let's go back in and watch some more unaired testimony.
Did you know that had Miss Pavlons taken her alprazolam as prescribed, would we have noted a finding for alprazolam in this report?
We should, unless for some reason it was below the level of detection in this tissue.
Was there anything else that you needed to receive from myself, or in this case, to render any kind of opinion?
Can you be more specific?
Do you believe I gave you all the material that you needed to render an opinion in this case?
Yes.
Did you note that on the report?
I did.
I'm going to show you it's marked as exhibit number 442. And again, this is just for the witness. You can let me know when you see it.
I see it.
Now, this is a report that you drafted for this case, State of Wisconsin versus Matthew Pahl, true?
True.
And this appears to be the first page of the report?
Yes.
And is this your final draft?
I believe so, yes.
And it's dated August 7th, 2025.
Yes.
Page 1 of the report discusses your qualifications, true?
Yes.
Why did you find that significant to list that on this report?
Why do I put qualifications in a report?
Yes, ma'am.
I put qualifications in every report that I generate just to describe my education, background, and experience.
Page 2 of your report, it's labeled methodology?
Yes.
What's the purpose of that?
Well, methodology is how an expert goes about reaching an opinion. And whether it's somebody in a laboratory who describes the technique that they use to analyze something, or fingerprints or DNA, that's the methodology that they use. When a medical expert is giving or rendering a medical opinion, it is also, there is a certain methodology that we follow, and that is the method of differential diagnosis.
That same page discusses, in general, the cause of death, true?
Yes, in general, yes.
And it lists traumatic causes of death. What does that mean?
Well, part of differential diagnosis, if I may explain, is when somebody comes to the emergency department, let's say, and they are complaining of certain symptoms, physicians generate what's called a differential diagnosis, meaning that we go through this mental flow chart of what could possibly be going on with this patient. And so take, for example, chest pain. Is the chest pain because someone dropped a weight on their chest, or are they having a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot to the lung, or are they having a heart attack? And so we ask a series of questions, and we will do a physical exam, and then we will obtain ancillary studies like laboratory, EKG, x-rays, CAT scans, in order to rule in or rule out a diagnosis. And there are some diagnoses in that mental flow chart that are high in the differential, and then there are some diagnoses that are low in the differential. So more likely it's this versus that. And so when you are doing a cause of death opinion, remember, cause of death is a diagnosis. And so the methodology of a medical physician is to go through the same type of methodology for cause of death. And so first you want to rule out traumatic causes of death. Then in general, you want to look at natural causes of death. And then finally, you will consider the toxicology findings. And then last but not least, you consider an arrhythmia, which is a lethal heart rhythm. And the reason why that is last but not least is because there's nothing that you can see on an autopsy to rule in or rule out an arrhythmia, so it becomes a diagnosis of exclusion. So that is the differential diagnosis or methodology that all physicians would use in rendering a cause of death opinion.
Judge, I'm going to object and move to strike based on prior rulings in the court's earlier discussion with counsel outside the presence of the jury.
I'm going to overrule that objection. You can continue, Mr. Calabrese.
Your report mentions the things you just discussed with the jury. It also talks about toxicological causes of death?
Yes.
What's that?
Well, a toxicological cause of death is a death from a substance or a poison. It can be a prescription drug, it can be an illicit drug, it can be a chemical type of exposure, but specifically when we're talking about a toxicologic cause of death, it involves interpretation of post-mortem drug levels. And typically, if you were to do an autopsy or look at a dead body, there's really not much that you can see to determine whether or not someone died from a toxicologic exposure, illicit or prescription medication. And so what you're left with are these drug levels. And what's very important when you're considering a toxicologic cause of death is not to hang your hat on a specific number. And I will tell you that when I tell lawyers this, and honestly, when I tell a lot of other physicians this, it's like telling them that there's no such thing as Santa Claus, because it's hard to believe that impairment, for example, in a driving while intoxicated case, or intoxication, or cause of death is determined by a blood level alone. And this is true if you have blood. This is true even if the person is still living, because, for example, if someone gets into a car crash and they have methamphetamine present, it is not determined that they're impaired based on that level, and that's living blood. So there are only a handful of substances that we check blood levels on in the healthcare settings. There's just a few. Everything else, you have to correlate the post-mortem or the ante-mortem blood levels, which we don't typically get, with peri-mortem circumstances, with how a person may have been looking around the time of their death. and it is not determined by the level in and of itself. So if it's not something that we can determine from blood, you certainly cannot make a determination based on a level that is in liver or muscle tissue.
Okay, we're getting ready for court to start up any minute now. We're starting to see some movement in the courtroom. And the big question this morning is, will Matthew Pahl take the stand? Can he help himself if he gets up there? What do you think? What do you think he's going to do, and what should he do? Let's talk about it with our analyst guest, attorney Randolph Rice, on the program this morning. Randolph, good morning. Okay, so separate questions here. Should Matthew Pahl testify is the first question.
No, good morning, Julie. And Dr. Hail telling me that Santa Claus is not real, I'm kind of upset about. But no, he should not testify. I just don't think it's a good move, because here's why. And this is why they're asking her these questions. They're leading the jury down the path of this was the cause of death is unknown. So therefore, the jury can kind of come to this conclusion that maybe some sort of drug in her system caused this death, not Matthew Pahl.
Right, Randolph. So the attorneys are doing a good job leading the jury away from the idea that this was a homicide. Second question to you. Will Matthew Pahl testify?
I don't think he will. And I think that the defense is laying this on the state cannot meet their burden of proof. And therefore, there's no reason to put him on the stand to say things that are going to hurt their defense and enable the state to prove their case.
Right. He should listen to the good advice of his attorneys, which is probably exactly what you just said in your first answer. Don't take the stand.